Hi everyone, this is Jay with dailytexture.com. This morning I'm working with one of the Baroque Essence Spring Bloom textures, and I'm working with a snow leopard photo I took in 2015 and a butterfly photo I took this year. And I'm going to try to combine these into something much more artistic. The first thing I'm going to do is move my little snow leopard here around, and I'm going to reduce the opacity so I can see how big I want to enlarge this leopard and exactly where I want to blend in. There's flowers right here, so I don't need, where am I? I don't need this part of his body to connect down here because the flowers are going to be blended over that. So I'm more concerned with this right here. The plan is to put the butterfly on the nose of the snow leopard. So we're going to see if I can do that. I may enlarge him a little bit more. Let's see. I could actually scoot the snow leopard up and over a little bit. I'm trying to see where these flowers, so right in here I will blend the flowers over top of the snow leopard, but that's going to go kind of over the ear. Maybe I've got him a little too big, and maybe I need to scoot up and over just a little bit. We'll try that. I can always resize later. And the first thing I'm going to do is mask out the background real quick. There's another leopard behind this snow leopard. Like this fur right here belongs to the other leopard, so we're going to get rid of that. I'm just getting as close as I can, and then I'll reduce the size of the masking brush to get in there closer. A little more to get around this ear. And as you can see, the color of the snow leopard is not working well with this texture. So I got two choices. I can change the tones of the snow leopard, or I can use a different texture that may be cooler. Actually, three choices. Or I could desaturate this texture to match the more gray and white tones. And I'm going right over the whiskers for the moment. And then we need to get this bottom edge worked out here. So I'm going to go ahead and mask that out to see exactly where these flowers are coming up. And then I'm going to lower the opacity with a big brush and just kind of tap in here gently. I'm taking away a little too much right now because I want to see how far I can go. I'm going to bring back some of that. I don't want that hard edge at the bottom to show. So I may resize just a little bit more. And then we're going to get rid of this bottom edge. Just tapping. Gently bring those flowers over. Now this will look a lot better once I get the snow leopard in the right tones. So let's try that. Let's try to adjust. I'm going to raise the saturation, and I'm going to warm him up just a little bit. Woo! Let's try this. Let's duplicate that texture, put it on soft light mode. Let's go back to the snow leopard and bring that saturation, that yellow back down and the saturation back down a little. See, now the snow leopard is picking up the tones from the texture. And it's at 100%. I can play with that because I don't think I need it at 100%. I'm still not sure about this masking on this bottom edge here. Let me bring back some of his fur. Even go off the edge a little bit right there. I just don't want to show that hard line at the bottom of the picture. And it's not really showing a hard line. That's a little better right there. Maybe put some back. This is just a lot of back and forth. Now at this point, I want to softly go around the edges of the leopard to soften those edges. A little smaller brush here by the nose. Now, let me do this. Okay, that's the wrong direction. Let me go this way. Trying to bring back some of the whiskers a little bit in that area. Now go back down here. It's like I said, it's a lot of back and forth. And I'm playing with this opacity a little more to get the light right. Go back to his layer. Let me up the exposure a little bit there. And still go to the yellow side just a tad on the color temperature. That looks pretty good. Now let me do something with the butterfly, and let's get the butterfly in here. Obviously, I only need the one butterfly. So we get rid of all of this with a big full opacity masking brush. Let me zoom in so I can see a little better. And he's going to be standing on the snow leopard's nose, so I really don't need the flower part at all. I'm just tapping to get rid of that. I'm going to have fun with this bluish gray background, I can tell you that right now. Need to get rid of all that tone. Let me zoom in a little more. And a smaller brush. I'm going to turn on this edge aware just to get right up close without going over. Those antennas are a little bit difficult too. Going right up to the edges of the wings. There'll still be a little halo, which I'll have to work with. And I went over the wing just a little bit there and bring that back. Alright, let's zoom in a little more, because you know, when you get old, you get a little blind. And I have glasses on. But you know, it happens. I don't know why I chose to do this butterfly for a video. This is very tedious here. Let me go with the smallest brush I got with this software, which is a 1. And I'm probably going to not get all the antenna in and the little legs. But there'll be enough of it there where you can tell they're there. I'm going right up. Let's see, I need a little bigger brush there. There. Yeah, there's going to be a little halo around those little butterfly parts. But that's okay. I can do. Whoops, lost a foot. I can deal with that. Because I will softly mask over the legs anyway, which will give a hint of them. They don't need to all be exact in something like this. And I went over that little part of his wing a little bit too much. Alright, now let me zoom back out a little. And I'll turn it off and on. So see, I can tell when I do that, I've missed some spots away from him. Let me turn off that edge thing and get these out of there. And there's some over here. Just kind of clean it up all around. I'm looking at the little mask here, but I also turn it off and on so I can see if anything flashes away from the butterfly, because that means I've missed something. All right, let's move him. Whoa, and you can see the rest of it. Of course, he's super huge here. We're going to have to get rid of the rest of this. And we're going to zoom in, and we're going to reposition Mr. or Miss Butterfly. We're going to size the butterfly down to a more reasonable size for a snow leopard's face. Maybe like that. Now you can see it, all the rest of the butterfly edges that I have to get rid of. Which is no problem. Now I'm going to zoom in a little more and a little more. We're going to get really tight in here and see if I can position this little fella. And I'm thinking that's an antenna right there. We're going to zoom in even more because this butterfly is pretty small at this point. Alright, now I'm going to grab the butterfly and scoot him down. And I can see here I masked over too much of the wings. So we'll go with a little smaller brush. Oops. Undo. Go back the other way so I can bring that edge back a little bit. I'm going to see what the deal is with this antenna. Oh yeah, that's not an antenna. It is an antenna. Okay, I accidentally got rid of a lot of that. So we're going to try that again. It is very hard to get close to these antennas. But that's close enough. You can see they're there. And I'm still going to mask over them just a little bit at a real low opacity to get rid of that halo. But now I want to position this butterfly. So I want the butterfly to be on the nose. And I need to rotate a little bit like that. Ooh, okay, that might be good. And I'm going to bring him a little bit closer, and I can still see some of the flower. So we're going to go with a low opacity masking brush at this point and just gently tap those edges away to make it appear as if the little feet and antenna are buried in the fur. Now I'm at a low opacity and I'm going to get a little bigger brush and I'm just going to tap over these antennas. It helps to get rid of that halo. It kind of fades them in a little bit, but you can still see they're there. And if I go a little too far over the face, like I did, I can bring that back right here. There we go. Now let me check the rest of his edges. Oh yeah, I got a lot of halo-y stuff here hanging around. When I turn it off and on, you can see those flashes which say you didn't mask in that spot. Off, on. Here's a flash right here. Off, on. I'm just looking at the screen as a whole as I turn it off and on to see if there's any more. Now, I'm going to go around the edges of his wings with a low opacity small brush and just kind of gently mask those away so they'll blend a little bit more softly with the texture. I haven't checked the colors of the actual butterfly to see if I need to adjust those colors. I went over that bottom edge a little too much right here. Too much for my liking. There is no, quote, right way to do this. It's all in what you like. I'm bringing some of it back now. Okay, let me zoom completely out. And zoom in a little. Alright. Do I need to adjust Mr. Butterfly's colors? Let's boost the saturation. Woo, that's too much. It's got a lot of yellow in it. Well, it's a yellow butterfly, so it's going to have that. Don't want to go to the blue side. If you turn this off and back on, maybe pump that up a little bit. I think it's just going to look a little different because it's yellow. Alright, let me zoom all the way out. I kind of would like a little more fur showing down here. That's on the snow leopard layer. So let's bring back. I got a little bit too much of that tint, that pinkish tint over the fur. And I just like a little bit of a hint of some fur showing, and I don't know how far down I can go without getting to the edge. Kind of working around the flowers now to bring back some of the snow leopard and get rid of some of the flowers. And I like to touch in some of these places too to show his fur as if it's popping through. May not need this one. Oh, I might need to bring back some of that. Just a tad. I'm still not sure about his coloring. So let me go back and boost the yellows a little bit, which will warm him up. I'm pulling up saturation all the way to see where I am with him. Just playing with the colors here. I'm going to get in a little closer on this butterfly. I almost wonder if I should reduce the exposure. No. Wonder if I should fade the butterfly a little bit. Just a tad. Zoom in a little more on the butterfly. Every time I click zoom, I have to scoot back to where I was. So that's at 100%, 86%, 91%. Just softens him a little bit. I think that looks a little better. Wonder about bringing another texture in. Let's see. What's this one? Ooh, that's really dark, strong lighting. Just on a fluke, I'm going to put that under him and reverse it. That's kind of interesting, but it looks like his body is just kind of floating there. So a little bit too much. However, it could be used to adjust some lighting a little differently. Wonder if I put it on top and play with layer modes on this. A little too strong. But if I reduce the opacity, just on a fluke I pulled that open. I want to put it back underneath him and at normal layer mode and just pull that down. I actually kind of like that. I don't like this hard line right here. Which can be dealt with. But how? How shall I deal with that? I'm thinking. I could make him larger. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to turn everything off except these two and see if I can combine those into one. Then turn those original two off and things back on. What a mess. And see if I can adjust the blended one to make it a little bigger and mask away right in here a little bit more to bring in some of this other floral texture that I've now placed on there. Now let me go back and bring back some of this. How far down is my line? There's my line right there, so I cannot do that way. But get rid of the line. Here's an idea. Where is that? Okay, I've got that at normal at 76% on top of this one. But what if I resized it and scooted it around like that? I think I like it better the other way, but here's what I can do. What if I duplicate it, flip it? I'm thinking about bringing in some of these flowers over into here. So let me invert the mask, which gets rid of all of it, and I'm just going to bring back right here and see if I can bring in some of those flowers from that duplicate. I'm just going to tap. Over where that line is. That's kind of interesting. If I turn this off, it totally changes the tone, so I need to leave that one in place. Let's see here. Let me merge everything at this point and just make sure I don't have any weird stuff happening. Make sure I got everything. It kind of looks like he's sitting in this mound of flowers and he's discovered this little butterfly. I almost think I should do something painterly with him at this point. Let's try an old Topaz program, Impression 1. I'm working on the image as a whole now that's merged, but I can go back and work just on his layer if I decide to. Just alter his layer, because I have all these layers stacked over here. I can always go back. I'm going to try one of my old favorites as soon as it gets done with this processing. And ooh, that's super pretty. It kind of softened everything. That's just one I call basic oil, but I have another one down here, oil glazed light, that's a little bit more intense color wise. Oh, too intense. So I got a couple versions of this. That's the original color. I almost like what this one is doing, oil glazed light too. It's brightening it up some from the original color. So how does that compare to the basic oil up here? Preset. Oh no. I like this other one. Where'd I have it? Oil glaze. There's an autumn one. Ooh, no. Oil glaze light 2. That's the winner. And see, it softens up all that graininess when I use this preset. Gives it more of a painted look overall, kind of blends everything. And because, I'm going to save that, because it's on its own layer, because I duplicated the merged layer, I could lower the opacity if I wanted and play with that. Let's just zoom in tight and see. See, you can see the serious graininess. And then when you use the oil glaze light, it takes that away and softens all that. But it also did some very interesting things with the light that I really liked. I really like that. I really like that. Let's see if I play with saturation a little. You can get it really highly saturated if you want, just with a tiny adjustment, but I don't think I want to do that. I almost think this is it. This was the look I was going for. Yep, I'm just sitting here looking at it and thinking about it. I'm going to look at one more thing. Let's look at the Baroque Essence Deep Shadows collection and just see if I can make it look even more richer or if this is going to way overdo this. Let me just open up one. Oh no, that's way overdoing it. I really like the first one that I ended up with. This is kind of a purplish tone in here, and I'm just liking that. What if I duplicated this spring texture layer and brought it back on top again in soft light mode? What would that do? Brightens that light just a little bit, but I don't want much of that. Not much of it at all. You go too high, it looks too gaudy to me. Just a little, maybe 15%, just pumps it up. This is real subtle at this point. At this point, I'm just going to stop. But I just wanted to show you what you could do with a couple different photos together. And I didn't even think of this because it's like when I'm focused on something and I'm photographing something, that's what I'm focused on. So at the time I was photographing the snow leopard, that's all I was thinking of, was getting great poses. Then this year I'm photographing these butterflies and I'm thinking get great different poses of these pretty butterflies to see how they, might look on their own. But then later I think about combining things, and I saw a painting somebody had done of a wildcat. I think it was a tiger or something, with a butterfly on its nose or on its head, something like that. And I remember thinking, oh, that's cool. And I have the components to do just that with my art. I have butterflies. I have wildcats. I have great backgrounds. I can create something like that too. Of course, mine looks totally different than the painting I saw, but the concept is still the same. And when I opened up the snow leopards from 2015 this morning, and I saw this particular pose, I totally could see the butterfly just perched right there on the nose. Yeah, the butterfly, I might have left it a little bigger than it should be, but this is imaginary stuff here, fantasy-like stuff I'm doing. And I thought, why not? Let's just play with it and see what I can come up with. And I really like the way this turned out. I hope you guys liked it. Maybe you picked up on something watching my little process here that may help you in your composite and photo art. I guess that's all I got to say. I'm just tickled with this. I can't wait to publish this one. Have no idea what I'm going to name it, but I am going to publish it. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day. I hope you guys are enjoying working with all the daily textures, but these Baroque ones, oh my gosh, they have really fueled my love of photo art again. And I've been in my studio for days painting papers and other things for new textures and backgrounds and such, but all I could think about was getting in here and doing something like this. And so here I am doing this on a Monday. And what a way to start the week, though. This was fun. Now I want to go back to all my wildcats and see what other butterflies I have and poses and do some more like this with these particular backgrounds and actually do a whole series and tie these together. Okay, I'm done talking now. Thanks for sticking around. I know I've rambled long enough. You guys have a great day.